And this is one of the most simple and direct ways to begin experiencing non-ejaculatory orgasms. Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. If you want to learn more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos and go live. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course through the link in the video description below. In this video, I'm going to share a very simple method for experiencing non-ejaculatory orgasms for men. Now, I highly recommend you watch my video where I explain the male non-ejaculatory orgasm and what I'm talking about here, because it's going to be quite different, the method I'm sharing, than what a lot of other people are teaching on this. This is not the hit the point of ejaculation and squeeze the pelvic floor method. That is not at all what I'm talking about. So check out that video to gain a bit more understanding about the context of this and what I truly define as an orgasm. And one little other re-emphasis here in that this type of orgasm for men can be very, very subtle in the beginning, because as men, we're often so goal-oriented. We're so conditioned to experience orgasm as this explosive genital sticky sneeze that lasts 5 seconds and is incredibly intense but short-lived. So it's a big up-down. Whereas this type of orgasm, it's much more sustained, much more smooth. It's more of a state that you enter into. So approaching it with this mindset, we cannot be goal-oriented with this type of orgasm. All you can really do is open up to experience what you are experiencing already on a deeper level. And that's what kind of propels you to this other type of orgasm as a sustained state rather than a very short-lived outward ejection of your energy. Okay, so there's 3 main keys to this, and I'm gonna break these all down. But first, it's important that you have a comfortable position. You wanna really be relaxed for this practice. That's one of the most important things, is relaxation. So you're going to use self-stimulation to practice this, to learn how to experience it. And then you can start to incorporate it with a partner during sex as well. I recommend you use a certain position that emphasizes relaxation, specifically what's called the reclined butterfly position, where you lay down on your back and you place the heels of your feet together so that your knees come out to the sides. And I also recommend you place a pillow underneath the side of your legs, under the knees, to create a comfortable position. You can also prop yourself upright a little bit if that's comfortable as well. The reason that this position is helpful is because if you're just laying down with your straight legs or just sitting stiffly on a chair like most men do to masturbate, it's going to create more of a tension buildup in the pelvic floor that will propel you much easier towards the ejaculation. We want to learn to go a different direction with this practice. We don't want to make ejaculation the enemy. You should never feel like you failed or feel guilty about ejaculating. It's a natural part of the male sexual experience. But if you've been following my channel by now, you know that ejaculating too frequently is not optimal. So we want to learn to experience this new realm of pleasure and orgasm. Okay, so the first most important key here is deep breathing. You want to keep this going throughout the process. This breath should be from low in the belly, deep abdominal breathing. Place your hands on your belly, expand the belly out as you inhale, relax on the exhale. You can either breathe out of the nose, you breathe out of the mouth with a sighing sound. This will emphasize relaxation, or even better, make a slight moaning sound, like a sound on the exhale. That vibration will actually help release more nitric oxide. It will calm your nervous system and keep your body relaxed. When it comes to experiencing non-ejaculatory orgasms, physical relaxation is extremely important to bypass ejaculation. And also think of breathing into the pelvic floor, breathing into the genitals, into your sexual centers as you inhale, just really ballooning open. Really breathing into that area with every breath. And again, you're probably going to very quickly go back into your old shallow breathing habits. It's very important that you maintain this deep breathing, especially as your pleasure and arousal level starts to build. The second key here is relaxation. The most important areas to focus on will be the pelvic floor and the abdominal area. I personally noticed for myself, these are the most common areas that I tend to want to tense up during sexual pleasure, that tends to drive me towards the ejaculatory buildup as well. So practice keeping your pelvic floor completely relaxed. If you're like most men, you have a tendency to want to squeeze your pelvic floor whenever your penis is being stimulated, or you're even simply erect. So practice relaxing the pelvic floor. Check out my video, Top Exercises for Pelvic Floor Tension, for a daily routine that will help you to loosen up and open the pelvic floor, which will greatly enhance this practice. So again, what typically happens during sexual stimulation for men is the pelvic floor starts to squeeze, and that tension in the pelvic floor puts you on this buildup towards ejaculation. Ejaculation is basically a tension response. So when there's tension building up in the body, it starts to fire that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response, and it's a countdown until that sticky sneeze happens. And using that deep rhythmic breathing from the belly will help you to stay completely relaxed in the pelvic floor. So far we have deep breathing from the belly and this relaxation of the entire body, but especially making sure our pelvic floor and our abdominal muscles don't tense up. So at this point, what you're going to be doing is stimulating yourself, focusing on these things, making sure you're breathing deeply and your pelvic floor is relaxed. Now the question comes, what do I do to get aroused? Because of course, I do not recommend using pornography or visual stimulation for this. It will put you into your fight or flight response. It will overstimulate your system, disconnect you from your body, and you'll go back into those old habits that drive you towards ejaculation. But I know a lot of you will ask, well, how do I become aroused? Because it can be difficult when you're used to this visual stimulation. I say that it's fine to use some fantasy, use some sexual fantasy from a memory or whatever in your head. But as soon as you become sufficiently aroused, meaning you're, relatively erect, stop visual stimulation, stop fantasy completely, and focus 100% on the sensations in your body, focusing on what you're feeling. Learning to build and maintain arousal from sensations alone, from body sensations, is a very important skill to develop when it comes to multi-orgasmic ability for men. And we've been conditioned out of this through porn and this excessive use of visual imagery. So it's a bit of a process coming back into a pure embodied experience of sex and pleasure, but it's very, very worth it. So as your arousal starts to build, that's when you really want to make sure you keep your breathing deep and you keep that pelvic floor relaxation, because as soon as you start squeezing the pelvic floor, squeezing up, that's when your direction goes from this full body build of pleasure to the ejaculatory orgasm. It constricts the sexual energy and that nervous system information in the genitals, and you can only experience an ejaculatory orgasm from that dynamic. Okay, now the third point here, which is allowing the pleasure and sensation to spread throughout the body. We can refer to this as circulating sexual energy, but on a very, very base level of working with this, you don't need to get too fancy. So the tendency for men, what's happening is when your penis is being stimulated, all these nervous system signals are being sent from the penis and localized into the area around the prostate. That's where this excitement and this sensation is going to trigger this buildup in the prostate to eventually hit the point of ejaculation where it starts spasming and releasing fluid. But by using the mind, relaxing, continuing with the breathing, you can actually allow this nervous system sensation and information to spread throughout your whole body. Now, this is a skill that really we build through training in the sexual kung fu system in depth. But to give you something to start with, think of it like this. So you notice when you're stimulating, it's almost like this electrical signal going to the pelvic floor that makes it want to tense up. So you feel the byproduct of the sexual pleasure in your penis going into the pelvic floor to create a desire or a direct feeling of tension. But use your mind by connecting your mind, absorbing it into other areas of the body. It's almost like connecting an electrical circuit. So you feel the pleasure in your penis and imagine or use your mind to create this feeling of this electrical connection, like literally like an electrical circuit into your belly, into the spine and the head, so that any of these areas, maybe the belly, the spine, up the spine to the crown, that's where that response of not exactly tension in this state, but a buildup of some sort, which would otherwise be occurring in the pelvic floor. It's like that's being spread to other areas of the body. And the more that you can spread your mind throughout the body and feel a connection, create a connection with your mind like an electrical circuit to the pleasure in your penis, you start to feel the pleasure and the excitement not be localized purely to the sexual region, but actually connected like a circuit to other areas of the body. I think just working with the belly is a good starting point, or also the spine, because men tend to have an easy time feeling that channel, that spinal channel as well. So again, your penis is being stimulated. You almost imagine like it's an electrical current, that pleasure and sensation instantly being directed up the spine like an electrical signal. Now that may sound a bit strange and advanced, and don't worry if that's it. Working just with the breathing and keeping relaxed is more than enough to start with, but that full body buildup is just another layer to add to it. And if that feels overwhelming, don't worry about it. Slowly build your way up to that. And then the question becomes, okay, so at what point do I experience orgasm? And here's kind of the tricky sticking point for a lot of men learning this, is that it's not such an obvious experience as the peak orgasm, the genital explosive orgasm. It's here, I'm spasming for 5 seconds, then it's over, right? That's pretty obvious. This is not the type of orgasm we're going to be experiencing. It's known as the valley orgasm. It's a buildup that starts very subtle, but eventually it's like this washing, watery state of just full body pleasure. And again, it's a bit subtle in the beginning, probably not as intense as the ejaculatory orgasm you're used to, but with time, when you get better at absorbing yourself more and more into this state and the sensations that you're feeling, the more intense it will become, to where eventually it can become much more intense and ultimately more fulfilling than the ejaculatory orgasm. So basically it's about stimulating yourself while not having any end goal in mind, rather than trying to drive yourself into an orgasm like, okay, this is good, but what's better? What's more? You simply relax and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, and think of just relaxing deeply into what you are feeling. The more you can relax and release and breathe into the sensation that you're feeling, the more that sensation will start to build and spread throughout that body. The more you can absorb your mind throughout the body, you will start to feel this subtle buildup in your entire body of sexual energy. And it's not a tension kind of buildup like the ejaculatory orgasm is. Again, it's more of just like this wash, like a saturation of this subtle, blissful, ecstatic, orgasmic feeling that starts to grow over time. And the more you practice with it, the more you work on resensitizing your mind and your body, the more profound this experience becomes, and you can start to integrate it into sex as well. So again, those three most important focal points: breathing, relaxation, especially the pelvic floor, and then using the mind to allow that buildup, that connection of pleasure to spread and be connected to the whole body, or at least, localized into the belly and the spine in the beginning. So work with that, and I guarantee you will find a much more expanded and enriched experience of sex and orgasm. And if you're really struggling with this, learning non-ejaculatory orgasm, struggling to last longer in bed, just not really getting it, I highly encourage you to dive into one of my in-depth training programs. Find more information about those courses through the link in the video description below. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and let me know in the comments below, what did you experience when implementing this practice? Have a great day, my friends.